I began writing this sermon this past September 11th, a little after 10 a.m. I remember it so well because 9/11 is an iconic date. It has a permanent place etched deep in my hippocampus. 24 years later, the memories still reside. Whenever I see an image from that day, in fact, when I see a clock and the time is 9/11, I startle. Even after 24 years, the merest reference pierces my heart. So take that overdetermined moment and add to it that time and place, a little after 10 on September 11th, was the date of my 6th and final treatment for bladder cancer. I said goodbye to my PA, Brian, who got to know me, and headed down to the lobby of the Beth Israel Shapiro building on Binney Street, one of the busiest places in the world. I've never driven in Rome before, but my guess is the feeling is similar to pulling up at the front entrance of BI Shapiro building, Binney Street entrance. So when I finished, there was no bell to ring. I don't know, I think more dramatic places have the bell when you finish your treatment. I did not find any bells anywhere. That 6th floor is a busy place. So there was no confetti, there was no band playing. I kind of had this dream, like it would be in one of the just cutest movies in the world, 500 Days of Summer. There's a particular moment when the lead actor has had a great night, and the song, You Make My Dreams Come True, is playing, and a brass band comes out, and people slap him 5, and I was waiting for that. But no. But I had to mark the moment. Like, I had to do something to acknowledge this was a big deal. So then I thought, okay, I got it. The reason it came to me is because if you ever walk into the Shapiro building like after 10:30 a.m., the aroma of everything bagels literally permeates I don't know if they ever thought about that when they built it, but it seems a little bit incongruous. But anyway, so I smelled the everything bagels, and I thought, okay, I know how I'm going to do this. So I went to the Panera, and I got myself a cup of coffee and a decidedly not on the diet chocolate croissant. I hoped that my wife and daughters would approve. I don't know if they would have at that moment, but they weren't there. So I ordered it. And I thought, okay, it's okay because this day needs a blessing. It also needs a croissant. So I took my coffee and my bag and I walked outside. There are tables by the entrance to Binney Street, and sat down, and I was looking around, and I realized, just like it was 24 years ago, the sky was magnificently, unbearably blue. There's even a meteorological term for this color blue. It's called severe clear blue. I have come to describe that in my experience as 9/11 blue, because that's exactly what the sky was like in New York and here on that day. Exquisite and upsetting. I sat there trying to untie the Gordian knot, all these experiences tied up around my heart. I acknowledged my constellation of 9/11 sadness and fear. And then I thought I had to pivot into the present tense. So there I am sitting, enjoying my croissant and coffee, and I realized I was just so relieved to be done. Now, I know if my doctor were here, Boris Gershman, he's a good dude. Very serious dude, by the way. But he would have said, well, your treatments are done, but you need a cystoscopy to make sure that you are tumor-free. Now, that's October 9th, so I'll let you know what happens. But in the meantime, I was good. I was good. And all I have to do is wait. I've learned a lot. One of the things I've learned for cancer treatment, it's all about waiting and waiting and waiting. We're all waiting, particularly in this period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. These 10 days of awe direct us to sit with uncertainty, to live in the space between who I was and who I might become. It's profoundly uncomfortable, an agony of doubt. During the days of awe, it's like we're setting the trajectory, when to jump out of the plane. Not that I've ever done that, but if you imagine when you see the pictures of the troops lined up in the plane and the light goes from red to yellow to green, then you go. You can't say, I changed my mind. You get pushed out the door. Or it's like, the movie Dune, getting ready to sink the hooks into the sandworm. There's a particular moment when you gotta wait, and then you do it, and you take off. But we're waiting to jump. That period of waiting, I entered a strange twilight zone. The day my urologist sat down with me after my cystoscopy, the first one, and described the tumors he saw and how he would remove them. You have cancer, he said. Not with a sad voice, not with a empathic, just, it's the fact. And just like that, I entered a new space, a liminal space, transforming space, the existential waiting room, this Yom Kippur space, the who shall live and who shall die space. I was quietly ushered from this side of my life, going to visit people, talking to people, comforting people, reassuring people, to this side. I'm the one who stands on this side in my blue blazer. To quote one of my favorite TV shows, I'm the one who knocks. But I am not the one, at least I never imagined I would be the one, who's concealing the catheter bag when people come in, the one in the ill-fitting hospital gown that always opens in the back. So maybe I've watched Severance a little too closely, but in this liminal space I was now in, I imagined myself walking down one of those lumen hallways, just long, endless hallways, and with doors just appearing with no particular order or logic. I got the impression I should enter one of those doors. So I approach a doorway and I enter. Very bare, fluorescent lit room, just a bed with an IV pole and a chair with that. If you've ever been to BI, they have those chairs that you're supposed to sit in, and they have a footrest. But in order to get the footrest, you need about 300 pounds of pressure to push back, and it flips your legs. Anyway, I learned every single inch of that. But anyway, so I sit down in that chair, and I look, and there's someone in the bed, and I realize it's me. So I look at myself, and I say, you have cancer. I know I do. So sorry. Sorry? How could you do this to me? How could you betray me? Betray you? What are you talking about? Did you ever did you think that getting a triple bypass makes you somehow immune to all the other random events showering down like a malevolent meteor shower? Didn't you read Kushner's When Bad Things Happen to Good People? I taught the book. So what? Just because you taught the book doesn't mean you actually understood it. You're not somehow absolved from the pitiless universe it describes. This body has been very good to you, considering you haven't exactly subscribed to the my body is a temple philosophy. It's true, I could shake my fist at God or in the mirror, but why? This isn't cosmic punishment. It's not a betrayal. It's cancer. Cancer exists at a unique intersection of chance and causation. Certain factors dramatically shift the odds. Smoking increases lung cancer risk. UV exposure causes predictable DNA damage. Some inherited genetic variants create major predispositions, and age is the biggest risk factor of all, since the more cell divisions equal more chances for problematic mutations. As I'm explaining this to you, I know there are several doctors sitting here, and if I say anything wrong, tell me after, would be my request. But a significant study found that 2/3 of cancer cases involved substantial random mutation components, or what the doctors called in this seminal study, bad luck. And I'm here to tell you that bad luck stinks. It's cold, it's mean. Bad luck has no face, it has no form of itself. It's like dark matter. We know it's there, but we can't see it. I've learned lots of truths from this cancer stuff. Like, I never knew until my hospitalization, which lasted 10 days, that pain is exhausting. Pain is not just about feeling uncomfortable or achy. Pain is a cavernous state of mind. It is dark and ugly. It produces static in your head. It produces a layer of smog that obscures everything. It's hard to see anyone or anything else. Pain demands presence in the most unwelcome way. It forces you into your body when all you want is to escape it. There's a cruel irony in how pain makes us more aware of being embodied creatures, just when we'd most like to transcend our own flesh. Well, in the hospital, those of you who have been there, you know this, many procedures are introduced by the following. This might hurt. This'll pinch a little bit. I'm going to count to 3. All these directives prepare us for pain. Sometimes it's nothing, a brief interaction. Sometimes a sustained and miserable encounter. The various technicians, doctors, and nurses who administered the blood draws, finger pricks, and catheters were mostly excellent. There's the occasional unhappy person, the occasional resident who wanted to go home, but those were really the exception to the rule. I don't imagine that anyone can ever get used to pain. Even when it becomes familiar, no one pulls it close in an embrace. But over time, we can come to identify the gradations of pain. I learned to recognize the differences between the sharp electric spasms that would double me over and the duller grinding ache that was just merely miserable. I could distinguish between the pain that warned of impending complications and the pain that was simply the price of healing. When I was at my most uncomfortable, I didn't want to move, I didn't want to talk, to engage in any way. Pain fills in all the places where there's light and laughter. Which brings me to another thing that I learned. I had to develop a deep sense of gratitude, which was not easy to find initially while walking around on my floor at Beth Israel, holding onto my pole with my IV connected in my catheter and then kind of keeping my gown closed, this kind of trudging through. And interestingly, in hospitals, no one cares what you look like while you're walking. Like no one's going, you need to really up your game a little bit there. Maybe get a bathrobe. The very fact that I could walk, though, that was a blessing. And I had to realize that. There were people on my floor that were not walking anywhere, that were fighting for their lives. As I walked, I thought about that line that's one of my favorites from Psalm 90. Limnot yamenu kein hoda v'navi levav chokhmah. Teach us to number our days that we may obtain a heart of wisdom. I tried to live by that sentiment, really, really embrace it. I knew that amid all this bad luck, I might derive new truths, new perceptions about my life, but also broader lessons about existence. I could get angry and feel bad about myself. I could bemoan my situation and feel awful about missing B'nai Mitzvah here, weddings, baby namings, programs to which I had committed. Or I could develop an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the staff that looked out for me here, who made sure all the needs of the congregation were considered. I could be grateful for how often my wife and kids checked in on me, that I have a family who cares about me like that. The lesson of gratitude leads to another, which is the lesson of patience. It is hard to be patient when you're a patient. It sometimes feels like you're floating alone in a turbulent sea, in a slowly leaking boat. The clouds obscure the shore, and you need help. Help. You push the button, and a voice comes on. Can I help you? Yeah, my blankets are all twisted, and I'm kind of stuck here. I'd like to get out of my bed. Someone will be right with you. Then, so you know. Then the intercom switches off, and what do? You are patient. Getting worked up does not help. Not that I ever did this, but I saw evidence of it. If you yell at your nurse because you're mad at her or him, and you think that yelling will benefit the relationship, I just want to tell you, it will not. Most definitively, you have got to be patient and nice, even when you don't feel like it, because that's the deal. That is the deal. Patience is mandatory for cancer treatment. It's not like getting a cast or a broken limb, or even, it's not even like open heart surgery. It's a process that goes on and on and on. Whether it's chemo or radiation or immunotherapy, it just takes time. When the treatment is complete, you have to wait to see if it's been effective. Are there fewer cancer cells? Is the tumor smaller? Is your blood count better? So much waiting. Without patience, one can become cynical and callous. Nothing is right. Everything is awful. This attitude does nothing to heal the soul or the body. Patience is a survival skill. You've got to work on that to make it through cancer, or truthfully through any difficult period in your life. We're all very vulnerable, all of us. We think these magnificent bodies in which we dwell will carry us through the streets like triumphant warriors. And for some of us, this can happen. Some of us will live long and healthy lives thanks to good genes, good health habits, and a little bit of luck. But we've all lived through traumatic moments when bad things happen to good people, to us, friends, family. And when that occurs, we are thrown for a loop. We are shocked and so dismayed to realize this life is not going to go the way we'd planned. This lesson in vulnerability, though unwelcome, connects us to our shared humanity. Everyone you pass on the street carries some invisible burden, some tender place they're protecting. In our pain, we discover we are not alone in our fragility. We are joined in the most fundamental human experience. My sister Marta, an oncology nurse, lives in Austin, Texas, discovered the same week that I was diagnosed with bladder cancer that she might have it too. It's not a hereditary disease. And so when we realized this, we did what siblings do. We joked about it. We kept it light, being really gross and inappropriate, as siblings often are. I was concerned for both of us, but we couldn't really imagine getting bad news. We spoke after the tests. We both tested positive for papillary urothelial carcinoma, bladder cancer. Crucially, my results showed no intramuscular involvement. The cancer was contained. This was critical news into how my treatment would go and what I would need to do. My sister, on the other hand, had very, very bad news. The cancer had passed from her bladder into the musculature. She had stage 4 bladder cancer. My treatment would not be chemo, but something called BCG, a vaccine that produces very little side effects. My sister's treatment would be chemo. For those of you that know this stuff, it was a classic toxic barrage of gemcitabine and cisplatin, two very, very potent chemicals. I'm a great admirer of Elisabeth Kubler-Ross. Her 5 stages of grieving has remained an urtext in my life since I first read On Death and Dying some 50 years ago. The stages, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, truly provide a scaffolding upon which to hang the flood of emotions that accompanies loss and fear and bad luck. Dr. Kubler-Ross gave me a methodology to cope with my cancer and with my sisters. I came to appreciate the lenses she provided through which to see this tragic situation with some strength and resolve while still acknowledging the heartbreak of it all. The older we get, the more experienced we become, the more we live in a liminal space, the more we recognize that we're waiting. We're waiting for the good and the bad and the ugly and the beautiful. There are no straight lines in nature. There's no path without challenges, no world without the screams of the roller coaster. I thought about all of this as I sat eating my chocolate croissant and coffee. In front of me was Binney Street, snarled by vans and Ubers and wheelchairs and cars. And many elderly people wandering in the middle of the street trying to figure out where their ride was. Behind me was the Shapiro building, where my treatments were meted out weekly for 6 weeks, where all sorts of people with all kinds of tsuris were being treated. And above me, a gorgeous 9/11 sky. And there I was, between a rock and a hard place, the devil in the deep blue sea, between Scylla and Charybdis, in pre-high holy day liminality, navigating to the light. I had no ill effects from my treatments. I regained a lot of energy that was robbed of me while I was in the hospital. In mid-August and this month, I wandered in my imagined corridor, waiting for the next step, wondering which door I would enter next. I didn't know if I'd wear a badge, if I would get one that says, I'm resilient. But I think the Kubler-Ross scale put me in the acceptance mode. All I can do is wait for the follow-up, but I'm determined to keep strong and focused. As I was getting my treatments, my sister Marta made a very brave decision. The chemo was not working. She was in intractable pain. Her options were running out. She told her doctor and all of us that she was done. In the almost daily conversations we had on the phone, Marta said that she was okay going into hospice. She knew the story from a medical perspective. She had been an oncology nurse. And she knew that the pain would not disappear, just get masked by more and more morphine. I don't think people like Marta who are terminally ill get enough recognition when they make a decision to stop treatment. It is a remarkably brave thing to do. And I honor her for that. By the middle of September, my sister was increasingly confused. She'd nod out during our phone conversations, trail off in the middle of a sentence. And then the image came to me one morning after we spoke. She was leaving the dock. She was headed out to sea. I was watching her recede on the horizon on a beautiful 9/11 blue sea. By the third week of September, she was sleeping most of the day, awakening only for pain medication, and then she stopped eating. On Friday, September 20th, my sister Marta died, quietly, in her sleep. The strange randomness of cancer, made stranger still by our simultaneous diagnoses, took her away. We were not really that close during our adulthood, but as kids we were so close. And even though we talked intermittently, there was always love and laughter between us. No discouraging words ever. And I realized as the end drew near that I really, really loved her. And not just in the obligatory big brother way. She was kind and loving and good. On Yom Kippur, we're reminded in the most profound human truth. We are all in liminal space, all living in the space between who I was and who I might become. We are waiting to discover what happens next. Each of us has our story, our edgy reality. Many of us here tonight for Kol Nidre will never get cancer. Probably many of you know people or have family members who have dealt with cancer. Some of us have had it and are in remission. Some of you here tonight are still fighting the fight. And it's a struggle because cancer is a hydra, a tough monster. Each of us walks down corridors we are not prepared to enter. This is the nature of our existence. We will face illness and hardship and sadness and pain. I know this isn't news to anyone, but we don't usually say it out loud. We tiptoe around it, hoping if we're just quiet enough, we can slip by. But I'm saying out loud tonight because I have to. I have to. From this vantage point, I have a clear view through the severe, clear blue sky. And yes, I am a mourner and a man with cancer. But along with this sadness, this liminal truth, this ever-waiting experience of the universe, I am still numbering my days to get a heart of wisdom, searching for a heart of gold. Amen.